You were standing in front of the coffee machine waiting for your cup to fill, but then your jaws tensed when your eyes fell on him, your boss. Every time he comes around, you feel uncomfortable. He's always too close, his words too suggestive, and his intentions too obvious. But this job is important, and you don't want to lose it over his slimy advances. You glanced at the reflection in the coffee machine's metal surface. Sure enough, your boss, Mr. Park, was heading your way, his trademark smirk already plastered on his face. You braced yourself, already feeling irritated but keeping it hidden behind a calm expression. "Good morning, YN," he said, leaning a little too close as you took your coffee. You shot him a sideways glance, stepping slightly away. "Morning," you replied, keeping your tone polite but short. "So how's my favorite employee doing?" He grinned, and his eyes traveled from your head to toe in a way that made your skin crawl. "I'm doing my job, as always," he said, taking a sip of your coffee and hoping he would get the hint and leave, but of course he didn't. Mr. Park chuckled, leaning on the counter next to you, invading your space again. "You know, Ian, I've noticed how hard you work. It's impressive, really. Maybe we should grab a drink sometime, talk about your future here. I could help you, give you a little boost." His hand started to reach out, grazing the edge of your arm as if he had the right. You took a step back, turning your body away from him and giving him a sharp look. "I appreciate the offer, but I prefer to keep things professional," you said in a cold tone, enough for someone with a little bit of sense to understand that you are irritated with him, but he didn't back off. "Come on, Ryan, don't be like that. You know how much potential I see in you. I could do so much for you if you just loosened up a little." His eyes flicked over you, full of suggestions you had no interest in hearing. You rolled your eyes, completely done with this conversation. "Mr. Park, if I wanted a drink with someone, you would be the last person on my list. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have actual work to do." You turn on your heel, walking back to your desk, not even bothering to wait for his response. You could feel his eyes burning into your back, but you didn't care. You weren't the type to be pushed around, and he wasn't worth your time. You finally reached home after the long and irritating day at work, still thinking about Mr. Park's advances. Your mind replayed the disgusting scene over and over again. You stopped in front of the door because you were having an imaginary argument with that man. "If he wasn't the boss, I would have kicked his balls and then asked him if he still sees great potential in me. Disgusting man." You took out your card to unlock the door, but the moment you saw the door slightly open, all those thoughts began to fade. A smile crept onto your face. He was there. You stepped inside quietly, only to be greeted by a familiar, comforting scent of home and the mouth-watering aroma of something delicious cooking. Before you could even take another step, you noticed him, Jungkook, standing there with a bouquet of your favorite flowers, a soft smile lightening up his handsome face. "Welcome home, baby." Jungkook's voice was warm, filled with so much affection that it melted away the frustration from your day. You couldn't help but smile wider as you closed the door behind you. "Is that for me?" you asked, eyeing the bouquet. "Of course, only the best for my girl," he said, stepping closer and handing them to you. As soon as the flowers were in your hands, you wrapped your arms around him, feeling the strength and warmth of his embrace. He hugged you tightly, resting his chin gently on your head. "I missed you," he said, softly brushing your hair. "I missed you too," you replied softly, closing your eyes for a brief moment, soaking in the peaceful feeling of being with him. Everything always felt right when you were in Jungkook's arms. When you pulled back, you gave him a knowing look. "Did you cook?" You could still smell the delicious aroma coming through the air. He chuckled, pinching your cheek lightly. "I couldn't stop thinking about my girl at work, so I came to see you and thought I'd make us dinner." Your smile deepened as you looked at him. You are too good to me, you know that? He shrugged playfully while a little grin tugged at his lips. I know. You laughed softly, shaking your head. I'm going to freshen up, and then we can eat. Deal? Deal. He agreed, giving you a quick kiss on the cheek before letting you go. After freshening up, you both sat down at the dinner table. Jungkook had prepared your favorite dish, and the sight of it made your stomach growl. Oops, looks like I'm really hungry. He chuckled softly, serving you on your plate. Then dig in. You smiled and started eating, and did a little happy dance after the first bite, making his smile wider. Mr. John is not only a great businessman but also a master chef. Lovely. He laughed loudly and you were enjoying this happy moment with your boyfriend, who is like a celebrity for the world but a man in love with you who never leaves a chance to make his girl happy. The evening felt perfect. Light-hearted conversation flowed between you two, and the food was amazing as always. You talked about everything and nothing, just enjoying each other's company. But then your phone burst on the table, pulling your attention away from the warm, cozy atmosphere. You picked it up, frowning slightly when you saw the name flashing on the screen, Mr. Park. Your mood instantly soured as you literally hate this man and anything that reminds you of him. Jungkook noticed immediately, his eyes darkened with concern as he put his fork down. What's wrong? Who's that? You looked at him. You hesitated, not wanting to bring your work problems into the peaceful evening, but you knew Jungkook would see right through you. You finally decided to tell him things that are bothering you. It's my boss, Mr. Park. You said quietly, looking down at the table. He's been making things uncomfortable for me at work for a while now. Today he crossed a line. Jungkook's expression hardened and his jaw tightened. What do you mean by crossed a line? You sighed and looked up, meeting his intense gaze. He keeps flirting with me, making inappropriate comments, and today he tried to touch me. I stepped back, but it's been bothering me. I didn't want to lose my job, so I have been pretending it doesn't affect me, but today was too much. Jungkook's grip on the edge of the table tightened slightly. His face was calm, but you could feel the storm brewing beneath his composed exterior. You don't have to deal with that, Ryan. No one should make you feel uncomfortable at work ever. That bastard will be on his place soon. You looked at him as he whispered the last line. What? He looked at you and shook his head before holding your hands in his. Nothing. You don't worry, okay? When I'm here, no one in this whole world can even look at you that way. You smiled and kissed the top of his hand. I know, my man is the best. He smiled, but inside him, he was just thinking about teaching a lesson to the man who tried to look at you with those eyes. The next morning you came to the office like you always do, but something felt strange. The office was noisier than usual, with employees whispering and talking excitedly in small groups. Confused, you walked past the front desk to your workspace and heard your co-workers gossiping. Did you hear? Mr. Park got fired. What? Fired? She replied, looking shocked. You stopped in your tracks as your eyes widened. Fired. That didn't make sense. Mr. Park had been the boss for a long time and it seemed like no one could ever fire him. How did this happen? You came near them. Mr. Park got fired? They looked at you and nodded. Yes, and guess who brought the entire building? You looked at her curiously. Who? Jungkook, the famous CEO of JJK Enterprises. He owns everything now. You stood there in shock. Jungkook, the pieces started to come together in your mind. Your boyfriend Jungkook had brought the building. Are you sure? Yes, this news is everywhere. Now he's the owner here. I can't believe we'll get to see him often now. Yumi saw you were looking surprised. Mr. Park was fired because the new owner didn't like how he was treating people. He's gone just like that. Your thought raced. Your Jungkook had brought the entire building and fired Mr. Park, and he hadn't even told you. Maybe that's what he meant when he said no one can bother you ever. A smile started to form on your face as you sat down at your desk. You were amazed. Of course, Jungkook had done this. He knew how much Mr. Park had bothered you, and he took action in his own way, just like he always did. You took out your phone. Sometimes you really like how possessive he is, and he's super rich that he can protect you with anything that bothers you. You messaged him, and you just can't wait to ask him. So you brought the building. You sent the message and waited for his reply. Your phone burst with his reply a few moments later. I told you I would take care of it. No one messes with you and gets away with it, baby. You shook your head, smiling at the message, your heart feeling warm. Jungkook didn't just make promises, he made things happen, and you loved him even more for it. You again typed him a message. I think I should thank you for this personally, Mr. John. A few moments later, your phone buzzed and Jungkook's reply popped up. Personally, I like the sound of that. You bit your lip, feeling a flutter in your stomach. His teasing tone always made your heart race. How about tonight, just the two of us? There was a brief pause before his next message came through. I'm already counting down the minutes, baby, but I think I deserve more than just a simple thank you. After all, I did buy an entire building for you. You rolled your eyes, but your smile only grew wider. Oh, don't worry, I'll make sure to show you just how grateful I am. This time his reply came almost instantly. Good, because I have been thinking about you all day. You and that little smile of yours. Your cheeks flushed as you imagined the mischievous grin on his face. Stop making me blush at work.